Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining my presentation on renewables for mines. My name is Martin Schlecht. I'm COO and co-founder of Suntrace, an independent expert advisory firm based in Hamburg, Germany. I want to start my presentation with the motivation for renewables for mines. Part of it is that decarbonization is a growing priority. The pressure may also come from investors and stakeholders that are increasing their ESG criteria compliance of their whole portfolios. And so the projects, the companies that they're invested in should be trying to comply with those targets to stay listed. Decarbonization is another element of these ESG targets, and the mines are now requested to find solutions how to comply with a decarbonization strategy. But at the same time, they're required to keep their profitability up and not sacrifice the business. So renewables are definitely offering a good part of the solution. They reduce energy costs, at least to a certain extent and up to a certain size of the renewable plant. They reduce carbon emissions. And with this, they also provide a hedge for energy costs for future operations. So, for example, to have a less impact of rise of fossil fuel prices. But the question is, how are you going to implement this project? And that's what I'm going to talk about in the next couple of minutes. There are a lot of heterogeneous solutions in the market. It's quite difficult and challenging to compare and choose the right solution and the optimum solution for your mining project. There are wind, solar, other renewable technologies. You have maybe thermal generation or a grid-supplied energy. You may want or need an energy storage, but what's the appropriate sizing for each of the technologies? So take your time to analyze this. On the other hand, you have also commercial restrictions. Do you want to invest your own cash? Do you want to keep it as your own asset? Or do you want somebody else, like an IPP, to invest into the renewable energy plant and sell you the electricity across the fence? So on balance sheet versus off balance sheet is maybe one of the crucial questions. And then you also need to understand what actually is the cost savings, what is the profitability of such an investment, of such a renewable energy plant. That's important to learn before you go to the market. And then you need to understand who is the right supplier, who would give you this plant, who would give you the electricity. Is he experienced enough? Does he fulfill with the criteria that you have? And is he a reliable partner for a longer term? The guidance of an independent technical expert such as Suntrace could be a very good help and aid through that process. I want to give you a little more insight into the process because from our view, we think it's important you take a step back in the first place and look at your needs. What is your profile of energy consumption? What are your requirements on energy security? What happens if a solar fluctuation happens? Would it switch off your mill or not? That's something that needs to be assessed in detail and to be mitigated by the technical solution. You need to look at the renewable energy resources that you have. Do you have plenty of solar or it's rather wind? Are you going for hydro? Is there other options available? So check at the resources and the potential of them to generate renewable electricity. Then again, look at your financial requirements. Do you want to invest your own cash? Or do you want somebody else to invest and you commit to a long-term offtake agreement like a PPA? Or you go for a rental or lease option if it's just for a couple of years and not for 10 plus years. Then when you have all that clear, you look at the technologies that are viable to implement at a certain cost. When that path is also clear, you go into the detailed optimizing of the concept. You look at what is the best technical solution and provides you still the lowest cost of energy from the renewable. That effectively means it provides you the greatest cost savings. You look at the economics, the technical solutions, the sizing, and the timeline for implementation, and it's all part of the whole optimization process. When that's done, and you know what you need, you can go to the market with a very clear message. You know what you want, and then we can help you, or you can identify the suppliers that can deliver what you want. So you're separating all the different options and focus them on one that helps you. And there's a couple of players in the market that can deliver it, so you have competition. And after that competitive selection, you can implement the project, build it, and go into operation. And you're quite sure that it meets largely your expectations because you have done a thorough analysis in the first place. We have done this approach, for example, in the B2Gold Fekola solar project in Mali. It's been operational since March. It's been handed over to the operations already. It's with a 36 megawatt peak PV and 17.3 megawatt power battery, 15.4 megawatt hours. It's the largest PV battery off-grid solution currently operational. Of course, larger projects will follow, but today it's like a landmark size. The mine has a total load of 40 megawatts compared to the 30 megawatt AC from the PV. So the PV can provide about 75% of the solar during clear sky days. And the mine has decided that they go and switch off half of the engines and ramp down, reduce load of the other engines so that the 75% can be absorbed during the day. The battery is used to smoothen the fluctuations as a safety device to protect the mining operations from rush fluctuations of solar or from engines not being started on time when the sun goes down. And the weather forecasting system is also implemented to help you have a good idea of when the sun would go away, so you're not surprised by the clouds passing over your field. B2Gold implemented the project on balance, and they didn't hire an EPC. They took the responsibility for the implementation themselves, and they mandated Suntrace and BayWa to act as their owners, engineering and procurement contractor. So we did the detailed design and the procurement recommendations, and we also supported B2Gold in the construction with supervision of the construction and commissioning activities. If you look at the pie chart on the right side, you can see here is a 20% solar plant like in Fekola. So if you compare it to the total number of CO2 emissions that you generate in the mining project, it constitutes only 13.4%. This is under the assumption that roughly 2/3 goes into electricity from your off-grid operation fuel consumption, and 1/3 goes into the fleet and the operations. So 20% of your electricity savings, fuel savings for electricity will give you 13.4% of total CO2 savings. So when your target is 30%, you need to go bigger. You need to implement maybe the double size, so then you reach about 35%. That's almost the maximum you can get with PV in the day. If you shut down almost all engines or all of them and you bring them back online in the night. But if you want to reach 30%, which equals to 45% of your electricity, you would need to shift energy from day to night. So you need more battery storage. Another option that I didn't show in the pie chart is wind energy. If you have enough resource on site, could definitely be a big contributor of renewable energy because the wind often blows in the night and to times when the solar is not very strong, so it is a good addition and it reduces the size of your battery and the cost you need to invest into that. If you're not off-grid but on-grid, what's the story then? The part is slightly different because you most likely have a purchase obligation for electricity from the grid, from the utility. There is a PPA that is existing. So first you need to check if you can buy renewable energies and substitute part of your consumption under the PPA. Are the rules allowing it? Is the regulator allowing an IPP, for example, to build a renewable plant and sell the energy to you across the fence? Or do you need to build it yourself because only auto consumption is allowed? So the rules are different in different countries, and it's important to study them before you think about renewable energy solutions. We have done one project already in 2018. It's a 6.5 megawatt peak PV project for Orongo cement factory in Namibia. It's under a private PPA and it's an embedded generation. That means electricity is only supplied to the factory and not to the grid. This slide shows in a nutshell all the different aspects that we have already touched on. The energy costs are an important part of your mining operations. What degree of hybrid do you want to implement and which technology? How do you reach carbon emission reduction targets and how are you reaching ESG compliance with the criteria? There are different aspects where a technical advisor or an advisor in general can help you to come to a good solution. For example, energy security, reliability of energy supply. It's a key concern for the operations. And how are you going to address this with your renewable energy project? It's worthwhile to discuss a few scenarios and find a good solution. What's your take on fuel cost increase? And do you rather go for the bigger size at this point, or are you waiting for batteries to drop in pricing to go for a larger scale project, for example? So develop a strategy for an implementation in stages over time could be quite interesting. What is the renewable technologies that you're going to use? And also going forward, how can you benefit from market developments? What is becoming a good opportunity? Maybe some solutions that will be market topics in about 5 years. You don't even know about them in much detail. You don't take them serious today, but it can develop fairly quickly. So to keep all that in mind and keeping the flexibility for your renewables implementation, don't think like a renewable plant is a one-off and then you're all set. It's like an ongoing process. You're going to emerge with a growing increase of renewables. It will become more viable, more secure. There will be more proof of concept, and it will help you to gain trust in decarbonizing your mining operations. Suntrace and Africa is a story that is already operating since more than 11 years. We were founded in 2009 and we're already operating in Africa since 2010. During the last 11 years, we've been working on projects in 14 different countries, so we know pretty much about the different nationalities, about the context in which projects are being realized in Africa, in different parts of Africa. And the AFCIA have acknowledged this by giving us an award. The AFCIA Technical Advisor Award, as you can see here, was given to us in 2020, which we are very proud of. It's a very nice recognition of the work that we're actually doing. This is my last slide. It summarizes basically that renewables are a viable option to help you to decarbonize your mining operations. It reduces your energy costs to a certain degree, and it even stabilizes your energy system, in particular with the use of the battery. So if you take the battery into account, it gives you additional benefits, not only managing the fluctuations of the renewables, but also stabilizing your electrical grid in the mine. And why not go for an independent expert to guide you through the process and be your partner, making sure you find the right assessment of your options, you choose the right solution to implement, and you implement it in the right way with the right partner. And you may even plan out to go bigger over time. It can be a very interesting element for you to consider this advice. If so, if you're interested to learn more about the details, because I couldn't share everything that we know in 15 minutes, please get in touch. Please also get in touch with Lucas, my partner, and our project manager for the Ficola project is also around the conference and is happy to answer your questions. You can also visit our virtual booth and make meeting appointments right there. Thank you very much for your attention.